Ladies and gentlemen, another day, another historic game has been played in the world of chess. As chess prodigies get younger and younger, records will continue to be broken, and today is no exception. It's September 8th, 2025, unless you are watching at some point in the future on a small little screen that survived the entire meltdown, apocalyptic meltdown of the world. And today, the youngest ever grandmaster, Abhimanyu Mishra, played against the youngest ever world chess champion in Demaraja Gukesh. And we're going to look at it, as well as some other games. Friendly reminder, leaderboards came out on Chessly, so if you have Chessly and you are a subscriber, go check it out. And if you're not, you can get a free trial, no card required, because I value the consumer. Also, I had to celebrate. My nose is red. I just ran 2.5 miles. That's like 4 kilometers. I've been trying to keep up some level of fitness. I've been doing a little 30-day challenge, so you can follow along with me on YouTube Shorts. Now, chess. Here we go. This was a crazy game. Abhimanyu played the move e4. By the way, this man is popping off this tournament. All right, he has some monster victories. So he starts with e4. The reigning world champion plays e5. We have knight f3, knight c6. We have an Italian. d3, knight f6. And now, rather than playing c3 to try to play b4, or d4, obviously, he goes bishop g5. This is a hugely provocative move. Very provocative. All right, this is the equivalent of throwing a cup of water at the opponent. And the opponent has to decide, does he punch you in the face or what? The point is that now black has the option to play h6 and in the future g5 and use this bishop as the initiative, right? As the kind of reason to push all these pawns. That is what white wants. White wants a fight. That's what white wants. Gukesh makes a couple of preparatory moves. a6, d6, supports the center, make sure the bishop can get away. But at some point, the best move is going to be to play g5. And that is exactly what Gukesh is doing. Plays g5. Bishop to g3. Now, at this point, there are many approaches. Gukesh plays a move in 6 seconds that I've never seen before. Now, if you check the opening database, his move has been played just a few times. Black here has tried queen e7, which I think even Gukesh has played before. Black can even castle. Black can play bishop g4. Bishop g4, queen e7, I can understand because at least the king looks like, the king's trying to get that way. Knight a5, I can also understand because you're trying to get the bishop. The move that Gukesh plays, I can't begin to understand. It's obviously some sort of preparation. He plays knight to h7. Now, knight h7 is intended to obviously support the pawns without committing these two pieces to come forward. And you have ideas like h5, g4, h4 to trap these two pieces. Now, given that black has lost such a powerful supporter of the center, white now strikes in the center, precisely. Abhimanyu thinks for 19 minutes and plays the move d4, which is the best move, clearly showing he has very good understanding of the position. And now h5, Gukesh showing the idea. The idea is to crunch these pieces over here like a hydraulic press. Now, the best line here for white is h4, g4, knight to e1, giving up the pawn in the middle. Some of you might be wondering, why is black not immediately taking this? The idea is to go here, getting out of the way of the pawns. And the thing is, there is no easy way for black to win the pawn. It looks like you win a pawn here, but I go queen a4 check, and I always have tactics on this loose bishop. For example, the king f8, bishop f7, and I'm going to win back this bishop. And if bishop b2, I actually don't really care, because what happens is I get to a position like this, and I play f4, and your king gets absolutely bazookaed in the center of the board. The point is that this is just not safe for black, right? Now, h5, the best move now is h4, g4, but Abhimanyu plays this, which is not the best move. The best move was to play h4, right? Now, black's whole idea of this opening is to play g4, right? No. Black is only supposed to play g4 if white plays h4. Otherwise, the correct move now is h4. But here's the thing. When you prepare an opening, sometimes you prepare the best moves, which are h4, h3. But then your opponent goes here and you're like, Wait a minute, am I supposed to go g4 or h4? And there's crazy complications. And Gukesh thinks for 20 minutes and doesn't play the correct move. The thing is, Gukesh is the type of chef that likes to juggle plates as he cooks. Like, for whatever reason, he just has to make things extra exciting. The problem is when you have that style, one mistake and you get burned. I made a video recently covering his games in the St. Louis tournament, and he plays so provocatively sometimes. And Abhimanyu now has an opportunity to be brilliant, and he completely gives away the knight. Pawn f3, pawn c7, and he wins back the pawn. And if you just look, black has lost half his pawns. White has all his pawns. So white has 4 extra pawns for a knight, and now is winning. Now, is it easy to win this position? I'm not so sure. Gukesh tries to trade the bishops. Now, the best line here for white is to just simply trade and then put the knight forward. Just slowly improve the position. This pawn is extremely well defended. It's very difficult for black to get any counterplay. This is the only counterplay black has, but we know Gukesh is a fighter. Now, Abhimanyu begins converting. He plays bishop d6, and then he trades, and then he does this. And yes, this looks very good. Absolutely, very natural. Absolutely no complaints. Now here, Gukesh finds just an unbelievable move. Like, a move that feels like a slap in the face. He plays king d7. That is the top choice of the computer. I think he just wants to put the king to safety. He walks directly into the line of sight of the queen. There is no useful check for this bishop. And now with white, you're sitting here and you're like, what the hell? What do I do? I know I'm winning, but how do I win? I don't have a forward move. Black is going to put his rooks here, put his king here, and like, am I under attack? Like, what the hell is going on? I thought I was just winning. So Abhimanyu makes a mistake. Now, the winning concept here for white, the only winning idea, I'm not even exaggerating, white has to play 3 moves here. If you can figure them out, they should suspend you from tournament play. You are cheating. The move is king h1. To get out of the way of the rooks, to unpin yourself, then you go b4, a4, b5. White's position is so good, black doesn't have any counterplay after you do this. For example, rook g8, a4. Rook g7, there's bishop f8, so that doesn't even work. Rook g8, let's say rook g6, immediately I punish you. Black doesn't have enough time. Like, if you play b4 and let me double, fine. But even here, the most incredible thing is, even this position is losing for black. So Abhimanyu is totally winning. But he messes it up. And all of a sudden, Gukesh creates a barrier. He trades the queens, and we go to this weird endgame where maybe even Gukesh is playing for a win. Like, I don't know how he pulls these things off. He is down 4 pawns. He's down 4 pawns. Abhimanyu has every pawn. Granted, he's going to lose one. And now white just has to go f5, trade this, and just rely on these pawns. This position is insanely sharp, insanely complicated. f5 from Abhimanyu. Gukesh has 2 pawns left. The rest have been taken from him. Knight d4 is possible, but then you have rook f7 ideas. You also have rook d1 ideas on the d file. Extremely complicated position. Both guys have to make 13 more moves or else they lose on time. Rook f7, the king goes forward. Rook f1, rook to g8. Abhimanyu goes g4. Like, how do you evaluate this freaking position? These pawns are so powerful that they're defending the bishop or being defended by the bishop. The white king is completely safe as well. Knight b5 from Gukesh. The white rook goes to h7, looking for rook h6, looking for rook f7. Gukesh plays rook g6, and that's apparently a mistake. Because now you have, not that move, but rook to d7. Moves I can't even begin to explain to you. Rook c8. Both guys have 3 minutes on the clock. Black has 1:35 now. Rook to h6. Gukesh plays this move with just 14 seconds on the clock, gaining the extra time. Abhimanyu keeping the rooks on the board, sacrificing a pawn on h3, and now here comes a4. We have knight to d4, bishop c5, and here the only move is rook to d3. Gukesh has 40 seconds. He spends 35 of them and gives a check. He thinks that the knights are teaming up, right, to block away the king, but king f1, and it's actually white who is winning because white is threatening rook d8, rook d6, etc. So you have knight to f4, and now the crispy bishop to d4, holding everything together. Rook to d6 is literally checkmate, by the way, in the middle of all this. So suddenly here comes rook f3, knight d3, knight e5, but this is losing because it's takes, rook g5 here, and Abhimanyu Mishra just needs to convert the rook endgame. He just needs to convert this endgame, trade off the rooks and promote the pawn. He's going to work. He's not making a huge amount of progress. He begins pushing his g-pawn. There we go. He's pushing it now. King b2, rook g7, and there we go. Rook f7, he's going to get the pawn to g7, both pawns on the 7th rank, and now he's got to get a rook to one of these squares. Rook d8, rook f8, just to ensure that he promotes. Rook b4, king c3, there are no more checks, and on the 61st move of the game, the youngest world champion ever resigned to the youngest grandmaster ever. How's that for a headline? Abhimanyu Mishra now has 4 points in this tournament with wins over Alexei Sarana, 2686, Yu Yangyi, 2714, and Gukesh Damaraju, the world champion himself, 2767. And with these points, Abhimanyu Mishra is now top 80, maybe even top 70 in the world. I would just like to say something. I am not aware, like in India, there is incredible support for the top 10 players. Incredible. On both the men and the women's side. I gotta go full screen to say this. Maybe Abhimanyu Mishra has institutional support or sponsorship, but I have not heard of it. He became the youngest became the youngest grandmaster ever, 12 years old and some months. Now he's 16. This dude should be a superstar in America. A superstar. He is setting records. He is beating the world champ. It should be making headlines. American chess and support for it for the juniors has got to get better. There's no reason, we can't have more Abhimanyu Mishras. We can't have more Hans Niemanns. Hans Niemann is a superstar. For other reasons. But he's also an unbelievable player, and he's also in this tournament. And he also talks about not having support from his own federation. So, public service announcement, Abhimanyu Mishra, Hans Niemann, Andy Woodward, Brewington Hardaway, all these players. We also have we got Brandon Jacobsons and whatever. We got great game. Commiserations to Gukesh, and the recap will continue. Board 1 was Rapport versus Parham Maghsoodloo. It's quite an intriguing matchup. And of course, we have a London. My boy Rapport always knows how to entertain. By the way, many more incredible results coming in this recap. It's going to be a long recap. I'm not going to try to breeze through it like I always do to hit 30 minutes. So if you don't have the attention span, I'll wait for you to click away. I'm going to have a sip of water. Maybe they ran an ad there automatically. I don't know. Let me know if they did. Okay. Now we have the main line. This is by far the main line. Bishop g4 is not the main line. The main line is, e6. There's pawn takes d4. There's knight h5. Bishop g4 is, normal move. c3. And then you bring the queen over here. Now queen c8. And so here, generally, white plays knight h4 and h3. That's what white does. Instead, Rapport goes here immediately, but now, the bishop just hangs out. And now, again, he plays just kind of a random move. Parham plays h6, so that his bishop can always get away, as well as g5 ideas. Queen d1. Queen d1 is fascinating. I don't get it. Bishop e7, and I guess the idea is to trade the knight for the bishop. Nope. The idea is to go bishop d3, so that the bishop can now not retreat to the g6 square, and when black castles, to go g4. Parham is like, yo, is this dude good, or did he drink too much of the local, Uzbek wine? I don't actually know what the Uzbek delicacies are over there. G4, bishop g6, takes. All right. What is the Uzbek delicacy? I suppose if a lot of people in Uzbekistan, they might be Muslim, so probably Uzbek wine is not the delicacy. I actually don't know. I know plov. That's what I know. So if you know about Uzbekistan, you should let me know. If you're from Uzbekistan, you should let me know. What is a local delicacy drink? Let me know. I bet Uzbek coffee is delicious. Or tea. I gotta go to Uzbekistan. Anyway, bishop g3, queen e8, queen e2, a6, a4. All right, this is the position. This is what we have to work with. Parham voluntarily damaging his structure, opening up this, rook c8, castle g5. Very, very imbalanced game. And that's kind of how it proceeded. You know, Report is always looking for imbalances. This position is full of them. Are you going to invest on the queen side? Are you going to go e4? This is very much a position where Parham is waiting for his Hungarian opponent to do something crazy and dynamic in the position. The knight went back to d8, rook c1. Clearly, you know, Report is the one making the forward momentum here. e4, yep. Parham is expecting him. Just kind of playing moves that keep the balance, keep the tension. Knight e4, we have a trade. Now, allowing the knight to go to f5 is crazy to me. But here's the thing. There is nothing the knight can take because of the incredible knight on f7, and Parham just excellent piece coordination. So you have to step back so queen g6 is possible. King h7, Parham doesn't want any draw. There was maybe a repetition there. He's like, no, thank you. Knight d6. And instead of that, the tension proceeds to build as we go to an endgame. But suddenly, first beginning with this trade was not necessary. Report could have kind of played rook a2, rook c2, king g2, just kind of made improving moves. This is number one. This trade was not necessary. And then a couple moves later, Parham just locks everything down. Everything. Rock solid. I think rook c8 was a slight mistake. You could have already begun moving your king, but rook d1 allows rook b5, and yeah, Maghsoodloo, despite having quite a passive king, converts beautifully. Leaves this bishop totally rotting away. You've got to sacrifice material to activate it. Rook c3 was more lethal with ideas like rook g3 and knight e4, but Parham still finds the way to coordinate his pieces, win back the pawn, take, 2 pawns up, and my man, Parham Maghsoodloo, has 4.5 out of 5 after some 64 moves. Resigning iconically after playing 64 moves. 4.5 out of 5. With wins over Aryan Chopra 26-20, David Anton 26-20, Firouzja 27-50, and Report 27-11. Here's the problem for Parham. He has 6 more games. And he's only half a point ahead of the field. Like, one loss in this tournament and anything can happen. I have more games for you. In the previous round, I showed you that Marc-Andre Maurizzi is like absolutely crushing this tournament. He just had an amazing victory against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. In this round against Vincent Keymer, he plays a sideline of the Sicilian, which I have seen before, but then he plays the move bishop e3, which I have never seen before. It's really rare that in the Sicilian, after 6 moves, you're in a position that's never been played before, and that's exactly what happens. Here, another really funny thing happens. Keymer attacks his pawn, Maurizzi just gives it away, and then I think Keymer was like, oh, it's too dangerous to take it. Like, these moves, I can't even, I just don't even, I don't know. Now we go b3, that move I can explain. Maurizzi now sets up a very nice pawn structure, completely not allowing black to play the move d5. So then black a few moves later plays the move knight c5 and a5. But white just has a very simple plan to play f4. This is an absolutely ridiculous setup against the Sicilian, and it was so effective in this game and giving him just a very comfortable position that I think I'm going to play it myself. I really will. I'm going to play the Maurizzi Sicilian, all right? e5. I don't know what kind of name Maurizzi is, by the way. Is Maurizzi like an Italian name? Am I stupid? He's in the French flag. Is there like, because I know Europe, really, I'm going to get a bunch of geographical and cultural lessons in the comment section of this video, like about Uzbekistan, and now about like, you know, in like different parts of Europe, you have places that are like primarily of a certain background. Like there are places in Croatia that are primarily like Italian, or you have places in France that might be primarily, I don't know. Marc-Andre Maurizzi. I want to say it with an Italian accent. Can somebody educate me, please? Please do. I want to learn. And I do read the comments. You know, I respond to the positive ones and to the negative ones as well. Queen f3. In this game, there was a massive exchange in the middle of the board. And look, tactics everywhere. Not super important. Maurizzi had this position with 3 pawns versus 2. Keymer needed to draw this endgame. And it's holdable. You know, it's holdable unless you go f6. Keymer thought down to 10 seconds and played this move. But what's funny is he has a defensive setup already. Like, he just needs to wait. He could have went king g7, bishop a5. Keymer almost did the thing that, like, I would do. You know, because this is the 37th move. So black has to make move 37, 38, 39, 40. And after that, he gets more time. And then he has more time to figure out how to draw the position. So it's very shocking that Keymer, despite being such an experienced player, made such a forceful move without deep thought, because he only had a minute. And white goes here, and actually white is winning now. White is winning because black is never actually going to win this pawn. Watch. King here, king g4. He's like, I don't get it. How's black not going to win the pawn? Because of this. Okay, so what? You have to... No! I don't have to take anything! I go king to f5, and now I'm winning, because you cannot simultaneously prevent checks and attacks on the pawn. So, watch this. Bishop b3, and see, the problem for Vincent is now he has 35 minutes, but he's losing. So Vincent ends up losing the pawn on the h-file, and white gets back to the setup, and watch how white wins this pawn. This is so disgusting. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch. G3. And Keymer resigns. He is in Zugzwang. Fitting! It's a German word. G3, absolutely vicious. A Europe versus Europe matchup. Maurizzi beats Keymer. What the what the hell is going on? Maurizzi is 26-10. He's up 21 rating points. He has 3 wins. 26-60, 27-40, 27-50. What type of croissant is this man eating in the morning? Maybe he's not eating croissant at all. Maybe it's espresso macchiato or something. Like, oh my God. This tournament is like, the thing is, if you're enjoying these, dude, these recaps have like no views. And I really do mean no views. Like, the channel is almost 7 million subscribers. These recaps are getting 200,000 views. People just like, if no Magnus or Hikaru is playing and it's not in the title and all over the thumbnail, people just don't watch. You gotta watch. You're witnessing the next generation of chess players. If you want to be a chess fan for 5, 10, 15 years, like, these are the players. Pay attention, all right? I got another one for you. This is a matchup of the top seed Praggnanandhaa versus Matthias Bluebaum, okay? We start off with a strange opening. Pragg plays like a very early bishop b4, bishop c3, going for very dynamic play. You know, he wants to play knight f6, like, yo, my guy Bluebaum was like, top seed, schmop, smeed, e4, queen g4. When is the last time this position has ever happened at top level? I got news for you. Straight up never, probably. Queen e7, queen e4. We win the pawn back. Now we're going to set up all our pieces. So does black. The position is equal. Position is equal. But Bluebaum was a very good positional player. He goes rook e1, bishop d1. Wow. f4. He understands that his pieces are kind of stuck back, so he's got to make a couple of trades. At some moment, he will have to figure out what to do with these pawns, because in the long run, they will be weak. Like if white, for example, if white went d5, the position is now minus 0.4, which is shocking. One pawn push, right? Makes the position minus 0.4. So f4. Pawn takes f4. Rook takes f4. And, you know, Bluebaum begins opening the side of the board, but he's very patient. He trades off the rooks. He's just slowly improving. We've seen Pragg win games in this tournament by simply being patient. Queen f5. Now we have this move d5, but now we're in an endgame. Now we're in an endgame, and these pawns could be a liability. This knight gets to e6 or b5. All those pawns are going to collapse. So Pragg goes bishop a6, a3. That's, I'm going to be very honest, that move ain't do nothing. That move does not do anything. King g8. Maybe he's going to go a4. Pragg is now making some improvements. But now mutual pawns are hanging. Queen e4. Pragg goes for a knight and bishop endgame. Take. And now it's going to be a total race. Knight d5. Knight c6. Okay. Bishop b7. Wait, but what about the pawns? I told you the pawns are going to decide the game. Pragg plays c6. Blocking in his bishop forever. He had to go knight f4. He goes c6. Bluebaum does not, I mean, I don't know what Pragg overlooked, but bishop takes and c6 is just winning. So you got to move the knight. But now I have bishop c6. I have absolutely no idea what was missed here. Maybe he wanted to go knight e7, but that also doesn't work. And Bluebaum, out of nowhere, is just straight up winning the game. He just has more pawns than Pragg. He has more pawns. And you're not going to easily win this pawn. By the time you run your king over here, I'm going to go for these pawns. You run your king that way. I go knight g4. You go knight g8. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. All right? Good luck. There we go. King e6. King e6 is disgusting. Absolutely vicious move, giving up a full knight, but you are winning. You're winning the game because knight h6 takes knight g8, h5. The king runs back. h6, you can sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. I'm not really sure what else you're going to do. Takes. You can even run the pawn away. King h5, king c4, king g4. This is just a winning endgame. If the king was here, it would be a draw. But it's a winning king and pawn endgame. Bluebaum beats the top seed. Bluebaum has beaten Hammer, Enriquez, and now Prague in a row. He also has 4 out of 5. Now, this game, speaking of king and pawn endgames, Sam Shankland, Alireza Firouzja. The opening doesn't matter. It was a knight off. Nobody cares. You guys don't know this opening anyway. You're going to forget all the lines. They played some super sideline. Doesn't matter. Not important. Very complicated, very sharp game. Actually, super intense, super complicated. Rook and knight versus rook and bishop. 5 pawns on the board. And with the rook endgame, you know, Alireza was up a pawn, but Shankland's rook was very active. Rook h3 was played. Takes, takes. Okay. Black is winning here. Sorry, what am I saying? Black is... I did not mean to say winning. Black is up a pawn. Black is up a pawn, right? But he's not winning because his pawns are doubled and it's a 3-on-3. The only hope that Black has is somehow miraculously running the king to eat this pawn. Otherwise, it's just, I mean, otherwise this pawn is worth as much as these pawns. 1 is equal to 2. King d3, king c5, c3. What? Apparently the move c3 is losing. Apparently, because you go b5. I think that's above most players' pay. Like, I mean, maybe Magnus. I should have called him and been like, is c3 a bad move? I don't know if there are some golden rules of king and pawn endgames, like, you know, only play like a4, for example. Obviously, white is just trying not to let black get them into Zugzwang, which is a position where you would have to cede the way. For example, you know, one way not to play this position with white is to do this, because then you would allow the king in and to eat all the pawns, right? So you kind of want to keep the king out. b5 apparently is the winning move, but Alireza goes b6. Now, you know, we get to a position where, okay, it's quite clear it's probably just going to be a draw. You know, Alireza is like making a little progress there. h5, b4, okay, a5. Now, here, you can probably just go here. Black might play h4. You're going to go king f3. And if d4, first of all, you can even push, but you can also take. And if king f5, you're going to go king e3. And if king g4, you can even probably play king f2, king f4, king e2, king e4, and even here. Because this is a draw. The black king is stuck here. There is no escaping, which is crazy. Even this is a draw because black will stalemate themselves. Now, king d3 was played. King f4 was played. And what you should do here is play king to e2, lock the position, and it's a draw. King e2, king e4, b5, h4, and as we just discussed, this is a draw because you go and... Right, and here, with 40 minutes on the clock, Sam Shankland took on a5. And this is losing. I think he thought it was the same endgame, but it's not, because the pawn is not on h4. So I think what Shankland thought was that this is a draw. But it's not. Because in this position, black can still play h4. And now, white has to move, and you go the opposite way. You just go the opposite way. And then you go eat this pawn and promote. So the pawn had to be on h4. That was the key difference. And Sam loses. He straight up just loses the game. He took an a5. He probably thought like it didn't really matter, but the difference is the pawn positioning. Straight up loses the king and pawn endgame. Crazy. Crazy. It happens. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I would be so mad. Like, yeah, but this is what happens in these high stakes tournaments. Erigaisi, Vichugov. Yeah, look, this is just Erigaisi. Vichugov is an excellent. By the way, another Russian grandmaster who, England. How many grandmasters have I already shown you that changed their flag from Russia to different? Chigayev, Yufa, Predke, Vichugov, Demchenko, Fedoseev, Sarana, Alexienko, who's not playing in this tournament, Shugirov, who represents Hungary now. Nine players There might even be more. 2,700 FIDE. Crazy. Castles, D4. Now, again, doesn't particularly matter. It was a Catalan. It was a very long line. There's a very long line. Queen A4, E5, take. Rook E1. Bishop E3, F3, and now white wins the pawn back. He's going to win the pawn. I promise. There it is. Okay. Hanging queen. Queen A3. The queen is trapped, but you get 2 rooks for it. So, I think theory ends somewhere here. Like, I think white plays queen A4, or maybe knight C3 or queen C2. All of this has been played before. I think knight C3 is the move that I'm familiar with, or maybe, you know, I think it's queen C4, and then like, yeah, I think queen C5 is a mistake. I think black is supposed to go queen E6 in this position. Very complicated, long stuff, and basically, you know, this is the setup that white gets. The king is safe, the knight can't come closer, white is going to try to win the pawn back, and if you go pawn hunting, your queen will get trapped. And I will have sufficient, I mean, again, this is just like so complicated. Erigaisi having amazing opening preparation, and he has to win a position of queen versus 2 rooks. That's the position. And even though he is known as a vicious and ferocious attacking player, he is also excellent in positional play. He attacks F6, he threatens D3, threatens a fork. Bishop goes here. He's threatening knight F6, knight C7. His queen and knight is an unbelievable combo. It's like the most powerful wizard with the most powerful wand. Like, really, it's Deathly Hallows level of chess. Knight F6, you play A4. Beautiful move, by the way, using your final resource. Rook has to go somewhere. Now you play knight D5, threatening a mate and a knight C7. And this is a totally winning position because white has a passed pawn. Your king just has to move to safety, and you will come back and the pawn will promote. And if it doesn't promote, you will win the pawn. You'll probably fork the king and the rook. Yeah, Erigaisi played this game just breathtaking chess. High level opening understanding, excellent conversion. He also has 4 points. He has wins against all the 2600s he's playing. Erigaisi is the worst possible matchup for 2600s. Just like, I think they would rather play Magnus. Now, Mamedyarov versus Salem Saleh from the UAE. Salem is one of the most dynamic, exciting players. All his games are super exciting. In this game, they played this line of the Grunfeld, which recently was featured in the match between Erdomus, that's what I'm going to say, Erdomus, Yazkan, and Svidler. Super complicated line. Queen goes to A5, H5 is played, Bishop G7. H6, I think, is the best move. Now white plays Queen D2. All of this is normal. And black will look for counterplay with C5, right? These types of ideas. Rook C1. C5 is possible. And now white goes here and tries to support this pawn. And again, these are positions both of these players completely thrive in. Like, this is perhaps the most exciting matchup in chess you could ever ask for. Saleh voluntarily makes white overextend into the position. There is an argument to be made. He should have went here, but knight H2 might have been unpleasant. And we get this position from the opening, but white is just better and black is too restricted. Black's king is restricted. Black is restricted in the center. And the problem in the Grunfeld is if you don't find an easy way to get counterplay, you won't get counterplay. If white coordinates his pieces faster, which he did in this game, and kicks out your pieces like this, his play is simple. The bishop is walled in. It can't make a move. This is just defended. Queen E3, B4, like, at some point, even if the bishop comes alive, Mamedyarov gets all of the initiative, and I don't think he lets up. G4, G5? The bishop goes to D4, but B4 pries apart the defenses. If takes, knight B5 is a knockout punch. So you go here, and just an absolutely amazing game from Mamedyarov. He plays knight A4 and the queen is trapped because it has to defend the bishop. It's an amazing game. I'm going to add this line to my prep. Like, this line is so good with H4 and H5 and H6. Just Mamedyarov also, I think he has 3.5. And one more game I just want to show. My man Anish Giri. So I want to say something. Okay. Fans of chess who are both incumbent and new, might have seen memes about Anish Giri being a boring player. And that all stems back to the fact that in one of the candidates tournaments that he played, he drew every game he played. He made 14 draws. And since that time, they call him Draw Anish Giri. Every time he makes a draw, they make fun of him. He plays a tournament with majority draws. People make fun of him. I don't know where this started, and I might even be guilty once or twice in participating in this nonsense. Anish Giri is not a boring player by any stretch of the imagination. The only thing that you can criticize him for, and I'm not criticizing him as a top player, I'm criticizing him as somebody who has read the feedback of top players, he doesn't convert winning positions. He sometimes won't convert them, and when you don't convert a winning position, it stumbles back to equality, and then you make a draw. Now, I would like to show you this game, because in this game, he beat Grigory Oparin like Oparin owed him money. It was like a loan shark coming to visit the person that took money from him and never paid it back. So first of all, we have an exchange Queen's Gambit decline. None of that is important. Again, we get a slightly imbalanced opening. The players are developing their pieces. I don't want to, I don't want to analyze the intricacies. Oparin's like, take my pawn. It's a gambit. Rook b8, I take the pawn back on b2. Now we have a c5 square to work with. I hope Anish watches. Sometimes Anish watches the videos and then he tweets about them. So maybe he'll tweet about that take. Because I'm dead serious. If you are one of the people spreading this stuff about Anish Giri being a drawish player, you suck. You don't get chess. There are far more culprits of playing boring chess than Anish Giri. Knight to a4, bishop c8, queen d3. And this is coming from somebody who's annoyed by some of his social media behavior. Rook b8, knight c5, knight takes, knight d2. We're just gonna secure the position. Black has to go for counterplay, otherwise he's just simply gonna suffocate. Knight c5, very nice move. Great outpost. We got weaknesses to work with. Rook b2, knight back to d3. You want to take my knight? I'm gonna give the bishop, but then I'm gonna keep pressure. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Bishop back to c2. Now, this game took a little while to get spicy. Okay, it's an Anish game after all. No, I'm just kidding. Queen c5, targeting this, targeting this, targeting this. Good positional play, a lot of pressure, sustained pressure on the opponent. We trade a pair of rooks. G3. By the way, F4. Like if Anish wants to attack his opponent, he's got it. Bishop d3, fine. Rook b7. He's looking for his chance. He's weakening the king. King is getting weakened. He keeps the queens on. Queen a3. Rook c1, building the pressure. And the position's getting ready to explode. G4. Bishop e2, bishop d3. Waiting for his moment. It's gonna come, don't worry. We reposition. We'll get there. Queen d1, queen b1. Shuffle the pieces around. Okay, I promise something's gonna, don't worry. We take the pawn. Queen d3. Bishop c8. We take the h pawn. We take the f pawn. We take the c pawn. Take everything. We have like 5 extra pawns here. I don't know how all the pawns got taken by Anish. Bishop b7. And then we just mercilessly hunt down the king. Queen f6. Queen d4. We took all the pawns. All right. We broke every item in the shop. And we win. It wasn't, it wasn't this game. All right. Anish likes to have controlled chaos. He won this game like a professor. But Anish Giri is, he's got 3.5 out of 5. He's putting the pressure on everybody he's playing. He's winning with white. He's winning with black. And he's in the running as well. On the women's side, Vaishali and Lagno drew. They're very clearly the top 2 favorites there. I want to see what happens there a little bit more before we cover some more of the games and people establish themselves. But for now, it's a tie for first. Dinara Wagner from Germany joining, and as well as Ulvia Fatal. I would say Fatalieva, but I don't know if it's Fatalieva or Fatalieva. I don't know. I think it's Fatalieva, but not sure. In the open, Maghsoodloo leads. Mishra, Maurizzi, Erigaisi, Bluebaum. I don't think any parlay in the world would have had those 4 players tied for 4. But that's what we have. I believe there is a game tomorrow. Yes, there's a game on the 9th, and then there's no game on the 10th. There will be a break. That's all I have for you today. Check out leaderboards on Chessly, and get out of here.